everybody, welcome back to the channel and to another new video. So kind of a different setup now, and this is kind of a different style of video than I've done so far. But if you watched my last vlog until the end, you would have seen that I'm now back at home for a couple of months before I head back to Oxford and start my new course, which is going to be an MST in Medieval Studies. But since I'm at home, there's not like a ton going on every single week, so I think I'm going to take a break from the weekly vlogs. Maybe I'll still do like a highlights of home kind of video where I like just pick up the camera when I have something cool going on. We'll see how it works out. But I'd like to keep the videos going, so I think I'm going to do more kind of just bookish themed things. So I thought I'd start off with an end of summer kind of TBR, because one of the things I was most excited about being home for and being kind of on a break between my courses is that I was going to get the chance to do more reading for fun. Because I didn't get to read I read a lot this past year, but it was more kind of work-related stuff. So now I just get to read whatever I want. So I've been calling it a summer TBR, but I realize it's really more the approaching the end of the season, because my dissertation went through the kind of main part of the summer, but I'm done now, getting started. So the last book that I read, which I read on the flight over, was Love at First Book by Jen McKinley, not totally sure how to pronounce it, but this is the book that my friend Megan got me for my birthday. I read it on my flight home, really liked it. It's not anything like groundbreaking, but it's really fun. I said in my review on TikTok and Instagram that if you liked the movie, oh my god, what's that movie called? Leap Year. If you like the movie Leap Year, this has very similar vibes because it's also an American woman traveling through small town Ireland, so the setting is really, you know, the best part of this book, so I do recommend it for that. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, this was fun. And then I'm currently reading Live Ranch Love by Emma Lucy, which, if you can tell by the name, is a bit of like a small town cowboy romance. It's about a British wellness influencer who inherits a ranch in Colorado from her aunt who has recently passed and basically travels there. The guy who's kind of like the head rancher, not happy she's there because he thinks she's just gonna sell off the ranch and then obviously he'll be out of work, which isn't great. But she kind of has this idea to turn it into a bit of a wellness retreat, so they kind of team up to start working on that. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like Aurora, who's the main character, because I don't have an issue with influencers or anything. Like, influencers don't enrage me like they do some people, but I don't really follow wellness influencers because that does kind of irritate me, because it'll be like a photo of them in a $300 bikini alongside the beach at a luxury resort, and I'll be like, I finally understand happiness. This is what happiness is all about. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like that is how most people would describe it. Like, you're not inspiring me. It's not being helpful. But I find that even when Rory is getting a little too cliche, a little bit too beacon of positivity, that they kind of check her a little bit in a nice way. Like, it's not that they're diminishing what she does or her line of work or, you know, her kind of outlook on life, but they are like, live, laugh, love is not necessarily a helpful mantra for everybody. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I think that it's funny, it's sweet. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. But after I finish that, I also want to read The Woman by the Lake by Kristen Ashley, because I got that and Live Ranch Love as ARCs because I signed up for both authors' influencer programs, but I wasn't able to read them by the due date because of assignments or because it was kind of during dissertation season, so I'm playing catch up on that. So I'd also like to read that. The Woman by the Lake is the third book in Kristen Ashley's Misted Pine series, which are sort of romantic thrillers, whereas a lot of her other series are very much like romances with kind of like a B plot, C plot thriller kind of mystery story going on. The Misted Pine series sort of flips that, where they're really more mysteries and then there just happens to be like a romantic plotline happening as well. And I really enjoyed the first two books in that series, and I think that the premise of The Woman by the Lake sounds really interesting. It's basically about this woman who moves into this lake house, and then it's her neighbor as well, and then, you know, something happens, something bad happens, and they have to solve it. So I think that it sounds quite interesting, so I'm looking forward to reading that. But then getting into my physical TBR, I went to the city twice this week, and both times I went to the bookstore. So I've acquired some stuff. And I basically have 2 months to get through this because classes won't start until like first week of October, and I haven't gotten a reading list yet. So if I do, that might derail this a little bit, but we'll see how much we can get done. But the first book that I picked up is The Au Pair Affair by Tessa Bailey. I really wanted to read this when it came out, but again, it came out when I was neck deep in dissertation, so I said I will save it for when I'm done. So this is the first book that I got on my excursions. It's basically, it's the follow-up to Fangirl, but you can read it as a standalone, and it is about Tallulah, who is, I believe, a PhD candidate. Yeah, she's studying to be a marine biologist. So in the first book, she's in Fangirl Down, she's Josephine's friend who's like in Antarctica looking at polar bears and stuff, and she is moving back home to finish her studies, and she is going to move to New York and needs a job, so she is going to become, what's his name? Burgess? Don't totally know how you would pronounce that, but he has recently gained full custody of his like 12, 13-year-old daughter, and she's gonna be his au pair basically. So from the little glimpse we saw of them in Fangirl Down, I'm very excited for this. I love the name, I like the alliteration, so I think this is gonna be really fun. Probably gonna read this after Live Ranch Love, we'll see. This is in no particular order, because I kind of just pick up books as and when the mood strikes. But the next one that I got, because today I bought 3, nearly 4, but I held myself back. So the next one that I got is called My Darling Dreadful Thing by Johanna Van Veen, and I just love the cover and the title. It's so perfect. And this is sort of like a gothic mystery. It's basically sounds like it's gonna be Sapphic Corpse Bride, and I can't think of anything better. So it's basically about this woman named Roos who has, they call it a spirit companion that only she can see, who is the mentioned corpse bride. And she's, you know, she's the only good thing in her life, basically. She gets dragged around to her mother's seances all the time. And then she meets Agnes, who's this wealthy, beautiful, really charismatic widow who asked Roos to come move in with her to her kind of dilapidated manor that she's inherited from her deceased husband. So she goes along with her, but someone dies and Roos is the main suspect, but she's saying it wasn't me, it was some ghost. And basically they're trying to determine if Roos is like mentally fit to stand trial, and she's like, I swear ghosts are real. So I think this is going to be really interesting. I have very high hopes for this. Then the next one that I got is another romance. So this one's called Whiskey Business. I was going to get Funny Story by Emily Henry, but I feel personally offended by hardback romance novels. I don't think romance novels should be published hardback unless it's like a special edition, which I would not be particularly drawn to buy. I don't really like seek out special editions unless they're like the Indigo or like the bookstore specific one that isn't necessarily more money. But I also find it weird because I can't think of any other romance author where their books are published, are only available in hardback for a period of time. Like most romance authors are direct to paperback, and I find it weird that hers aren't, because like they aren't general fiction, she is a romance author. So it's weird, I don't know. But this one, I decided to go for this instead because I was really drawn to this one because it takes place in Isle of Skye, which I think collectively was our favorite place when me and my friends from Oxford went to Scotland a few months ago. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's this very small island. If you're planning a trip to Scotland, I really recommend trying to go there because it's stunning. And this book is basically about these two people who grew up on Skye, but April, our main character, left to pursue an acting career, which was quite successful, but has since taken a bit of a nosedive. So since she's recently inherited a home from a relative, she decides it's, you know, the perfect time to regroup. She's gonna go back home, attempt to kind of help her family revitalize their distillery business. But when she arrives at her new home, she finds Malcolm, or Mal, who's this guy she knew as a teenager, is like a really great distiller that I assume works for her company. and he's none too happy that she's there. But I assume sparks fly. And just look at this cover. This is gorgeous. This is what I want out of cartoon romance novels now, because I feel like it's kind of a reference to sort of like Harlequin, the bodice ripper romance covers, but it's still following that like cartoon trend, but it's more detailed. And I really like this because I think I like cartoon cover romance novels, but I like some more than others. Like, this is quite cute. I like this because like with the book it has more going on, but a lot of them would like just have these two characters and there's not a lot of detail, whatever. But then there are some that I think border on looking like middle grade books, like Icebreaker. Like if I saw this on the like ages 9 to 12 shelf, I wouldn't blink twice, and that's definitely not what this is. So I really like this because I feel like it's a little nostalgic, but it's following kind of contemporary trends, but you look at it and you know exactly what this book is. So thumbs up for me to the cover artist. So the last book that is like a recent acquisition for me is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I've been wanting to read her books for a while because she's quite popular on fantasy romance, book talk, and bookstagram. And this one I believe is the vampire ones. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is like the vampire one. It's romantasy. I'm quite looking forward to it. The one thing that kind of, I didn't know if I wanted to start with this one or The Daughter of No Worlds. This one really appealed to me because it's vampires, but it's also kind of based around this like magical competition, which is not something that typically appeals to me too much because like it's one of the things that's kind of kept me from being interested in the Throne of Glass series, because the first book and maybe some of the second one, it's based on like Selena taking part in this like assassin competition, and I just don't care. Same with Fourth Wing, set in this school, which is basically about them like competing to become super soldiers, and I just don't really care about that. It's not something that I'm like super drawn to, but I have heard that these are really, really good, and I like vampires, so I'm here for it. And then usually I can read in a good month like 4 to 5 books a month. I'm not pushing crazy numbers like some people on Book Talk and Bookstagram, but I'm hoping I can get through all of those. And then I have 3 that I would like to read at least one from, but we'll see if it's gonna happen. So I have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I'm pretty sure I've like read part of it, but not all of it. I don't know if I ever actually finished it, but this is kind of like a dark academia thing. Basically, he's part of this like secret society at Yale, and all I want is to be part of a secret society. If you're part of a secret society at Oxford, come tap me. I'll join. I'll take part in some weird ritual, whatever. Then I have Crave by Tracy Wolff, which might seem like a bit of a wild card because people do not generally say that this is good, but I'm not looking for it to be good. I just want it to be entertaining. This is also a vampire novel, if you can't tell by the fact that it looks like a blatant Twilight ripoff, and that's what I want. I want like it to be super cheesy and just fun. And then I have The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle E. L. Jensen, and I believe I've read Stolen Songbird by her, which is, it's more like YA, and I don't know if I should say early YA because it's been a while since I've read it, so can't confirm on that, but it's definitely YA. And it's a really unique fantasy novel, so I'm excited for this one. But I will say, I hate this cover so much. It's just terrible. I hate it. I don't know why I didn't just get this book on my Kindle, because this sucks. And I don't think it does the book justice, because the book is supposed to be really good. But I just hate this. And then lastly, because reading Kristen Ashley always sends me into a Kristen Ashley spiral, and I start rereading stuff, and even before I read The Woman in the Lake, I'm feeling the urge to reread this. This is Sweet Dreams. It's probably my favorite. This one and Motorcycle Man are probably my top 2 favorite Kristen Ashleys. It's just like the ultimate comfort read. I couldn't even tell you why, but I just really enjoy this one. It's one that's like more of a romance with kind of a thriller aspect. It's basically about this woman, Lori, who has just kind of blown into this small town in Colorado. She has just recently left her husband who cheated on her and is looking to start fresh. So she blows into town, meets Tate, starts working at his bar, and he says something so stupid, and they really do not get along at first, but mostly because they're both really hot, but don't have time for each other yet. And there's also a serial killer, so that's a bit of a buzzkill, but not too much of a buzzkill, because things still develop. So yeah, this is what I'm starting with. Ideally, I would be able to read more, but I'm not going to be too ambitious right now, and we'll see what I get up to. I really want to finish Live Ranch Love in the next couple of days, and then maybe the Au Pair Affair after that. I'm not really sure. I feel like I've been reading mainly romance when I've had time to read just in my own time, partly because I just find it's the easiest to pick up when I'm like thinking about other things for school. I don't necessarily want to be reading like something in Middle English and then all of a sudden I'm reading some other dense fantasy novel. So I find romance the most kind of fun and relaxing to read during the school year. But because I wrote my dissertation on romantasy, I've had romantasy on the brain, and I would like to read some new titles, so that's kind of informed this TBR a little bit. I also nearly bought The Sword of Kaigen, which I don't want to call it a book talk book because it's not like a main book talk read, but if you look at any book talk account that's more focused on like high fantasy novels, you will probably find recommendations for The Sword of Kaigen. So it's really popular on high fantasy TikTok. So I was like, I'll read it. And I had seen synopsy. I'd seen descriptions of it online, and I thought it sounded interesting, but when I was at the bookstore and I found it and picked it up and read the back, I thought that it sounded super boring, so I did not pick that up. But if you've read it, let me know what you think, if I should reevaluate and go and find that. So yeah, this is basically my plans for the summer. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you're reading, or if you've read anything that I've mentioned here and what your thoughts on it were. So yeah, thanks for watching.